Chapter 19, Frozen. Christopher walks into the house and shuts the door. "I'm home," he announces. He sights Emily on a couch watching TV after turning around. "Hey, Em." He drops his backpack and sits beside her. She, being engrossed on the TV, finally notices him. "Chris!" she exclaims and hugs him lightly. "What are you watching?" He smiles before turning to the TV. "Frozen," Emily replies with a grin. "Seriously? Haven't you watched it like 100 times? He groans. "No. I haven't. You're Exa." She trails off, forgetting the word. "Exaggerating," Chris chuckles. "Yeah, that." "Say it, Em," Chris urges her. A frown appears on Emily's face as she tries to pronounce it. "Exa." Chris begins to laugh. "Mom!" Chris is being mean, Emily shouts. "You're lucky I love this movie." Chris huffs and crosses his arms childishly. "Chris?" He turns in the direction of the voice. "Hey, Mom." He smiles and goes to hug her with a peck on the cheek. His mom doesn't smile back and he knows something is wrong. He hopes it doesn't have anything to his dad. He cringes at the word. "Mom, what's wrong?" He begins to worry. "You had detention today," she deadpans. He sighs in relief. "That's it? Thank God." His mom notices and glares at him. "Do you think it's a joke?" "I'm sorry, Mom. I thought something worse happened." "Why did you get detention?" she questions. He knows she'd ask eventually. She didn't ask when he called to inform her, but he knew she wouldn't be happy about it. Christopher doesn't joke with his academics, and it's because of his mom. He doesn't want to hurt her. His dad has already done that in excess. If not that he wants to make his mom proud, he'd probably be one of those bad boys that always skip class and get suspensions. Like Blake and his entourage. Chris fits that stereotypical bad boy image with his looks. He wants to get good grades and get a scholarship to a good college. That would make his mom proud and he'd set a good example for Emily to follow. He has only gotten detention once and it was in 9th grade. He has never been suspended either. Come to think of it, he and Steph are kinda alike in that aspect. "Hazel and I were whispering to each other in class, then boom, Mrs. Green got pissed and gave us detention," he explains. "Hazel?" she asks. "Is she a friend of yours?" She has never heard Chris mention a girl's name since Ivy. Not even a friend. So it's a surprise that he just did. And they got detention together because they were talking in class? Her son hasn't sworn off girls, after all. She watches him intently, waiting for his answer. "We're not friends," he answers somewhat sadly. "At least for now," he adds, smiling. He begins to wonder if she'll get in trouble at home. "Okay." She tries not to smile. "I'm sorry, Mom," he says again. "It's okay, I guess." She shrugs and pats him. Then she walks away to finish up whatever she was doing in the kitchen. He smiles and joins Emily back on the couch. He doesn't like when his mom is mad at him. Some minutes later, Elsa begins to sing "Let It Go" and Emily giggles. She stands and pulls Chris up with a lot of effort and help from him. "Let's dance." Chris rolls his eyes but smiles. She always does this when he is around. Emily holds both of his hands in hers and begins to move around as she sings along. Chris joins in the first chorus. "Let it go. Let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Let it go. Turn away and slam that door. I don't care what they're going to say, let the storm rage on. The cold never bothered me anyway." And they continue to sing and dance, if you think Emily pulling Chris around is called that, till the end of the song. Their mom came in towards the end of the song and has been watching them since, smiling at the beautiful sight. After, she announces her presence. "I've found another babysitter for Emily." She'd be here tomorrow to babysit since you have practice and I have a client to take care of. Cool. He replies absent-mindedly. He hopes the new babysitter won't be like the last. The last one was always hitting on him, but he never gave in. He had to make her quit because he feels she would be a bad influence on Emily. But his mom doesn't need to know that, right? Stephanie, remember you have to babysit today? Karen, her mom says to her just as she's about to leave for school. Yeah, Mom. Am I going over? She asks. Yeah. Your dad will drive you there after school, so try not to get detention today, her mom says. Stephanie sighs and walks out of the house to meet Brooke. Her parents weren't happy about her getting detention. When she called her mom in school to inform her yesterday, she wasn't happy. She was pissed off. Her dad didn't take it any better. Why does it matter? They're barely home. They work for the same company, a well-known and successful one. They work in different departments, but it's still the same thing. Going on business trips, coming back late, and whatnot. Assuming they work in different places, Dad would probably be home when Mom isn't, and vice versa. But they work in the same freaking company. That's why they're home now. All those times they haven't been around, she could have gotten a lot of detentions, and they wouldn't even know. Thinking about it now, she doesn't care what they think. It's her life, not theirs. She enters the passenger seat of Brooke's car. What's wrong? Brooke asks once she notices the look on her best friend's face. They wouldn't even buy a car for her with all that money they worked their butts for. They are waiting for the right time apparently. Cue the air quotes. She's turning 18 for crying out loud. Stephanie doesn't answer. Brooke sighs. Does this have to do with getting detention yesterday? She guesses. Yeah, B. But right now, I don't care what they think. It's their problem. Okay? Steph buckles her seatbelt and smiles. How was your night? It was great. Yours? Steph shrugs in reply. Let's get to school so I can get detention again to spite Mom. Steph smirks. Brooke laughs as she pulls out of their driveway and head to school. So you and Chris played 20 questions? Brooke asks, smirking. Yesterday night, they talked on the phone and Steph told me what happened. Yup. But we didn't even get to 5 questions. Steph remarks. Doesn't matter. You're talking to the guy now. That's like huge, not to mention the fact that he wants you to know the real him. Brooke giggles. Stephanie rolls her eyes. Hazel. Steph mumbles. What? Brooke turns to look at her in confusion. Focus on the road, B. Don't get us killed because of your crazy obsession with Christopher. I'm not obsessed with him. Brooke visibly cringes. What did you say? Hazel. That's what he calls me. She forgot to mention that on the phone last night. Really? Brooke grins. That's awesome. No, it's not. I told him not to call me that. Steph says in monotone. You're kidding, Brooke says, but the look on Steph's face tells her something else. Why did you do that? We're not friends, Steph points out. I wish Cole could give me a nickname or pet name. It would be awesome, Brooke says dreamingly. Please do not daydream right now, I don't want to die yet. Steph wheedles. A few minutes later, they enter the school. Wanna hang out today after school? Brooke asks as she puts her backpack into her locker. I can't. Stephanie replies with a gloomy sigh. Why? I have to babysit. She replies pleasantly. Seriously? Why do you babysit, huh? It's not like your parents are poor or something, so why do you keep babysitting? Brooke wonders. I don't know. Steph shrugs. She pauses for a few seconds. I guess it's because I like kids. Brooke stares at her. Okay. The reason I started babysitting was that I got tired of doing the same thing every time and being the only one at home, she confesses. Ah. My baby girl, Brooke croons and puts an arm on her shoulders as they walk to her locker. I'm not your baby girl, Steph argues, shrugging Brooke's arm off her shoulders. Of course. You are. You just don't want to admit it. Brooke grins smugly. I'm not. You are. I'm not. You are. Hey Brooke, someone says, stopping their bickering. It's Chris. Steph rolls her eyes. What do you want, Christopher? Why hello to you too, Hazel. Isn't it a lovely morning? Chris smirks. Brooke doesn't say anything, she just watches in amusement. It was lovely. Stephanie smiles. Until you showed up. She deadpans, her sickening smile dropping. Since her last encounter with Chris, she doesn't hesitate to lash out. She can't stand his cockiness. His smirk doesn't falter. He likes that she's getting more comfortable with him to talk like this. Steph sighs. What do you want? And didn't I tell you not to call me Hazel, huh? She seethes. Chris shrugs. Steph glares at him. Brooke decides to clear her throat. Chris looks at her, totally forgetting that she's standing there. Hello, Brooke. He smiles at her. Hey, can we help you with something? Brooke beseeches. Thank goodness I'm not the only one wondering that, Steph mutters as she sorts through her locker. Nothing. Just decided to say hi. He replies, shoving his hands into his pockets. He and Brooke just stare at each other. Steph turns after dumping her backpack in her locker. You're still here? She asks in disdain. We have class together. I'm walking you to class, Chris announces. No way. Steph shakes her head in disagreement after what he said sinks in. Why would he want to walk with her? A wallflower? A social pariah? Wouldn't that mar his reputation or something? She studies his face, looking for a sign that he's joking, but she doesn't find one. She shifts her gaze to Brooke and finds her grinning. The bell rings and Steph sighs before walking off, hoping Chris doesn't follow her. Unfortunately for her, he falls in stride with her as they head to class. Bye, Brooke hollers. What a great way to start the first period. Random question, which country are you from? I'd love to know. Chapter 20, Babysitting. Hazel. Chris whispers from his seat behind her. She doesn't answer. Pissed, he pokes her with his pencil. Still no answer. He's been doing this for a while now, trying to get her attention. Stephanie isn't answering because she doesn't want another detention. Even though it would be nice to spite her mom, she still doesn't want it. She's sure Mr. Sato, the maths teacher, wouldn't hesitate to give out detention. And there's the fact that he's still calling her Hazel, which she has told him not to. So ignoring him it is. Mr. Sato ends the class as the bell rings and students begin to leave. Stephanie leaves too, but not without Christopher on her trail. Hazel, he calls as he follows her. She still doesn't answer or even spare him a glance. Why is she being so damn difficult? He wonders. He has never had this much trouble with a girl and it's frustrating. Stephanie, who is still ignoring Chris, begins to notice girls looking her way with confused expressions. They're probably wondering why she's with him. Some are even giving her hateful glares, and it's beginning to get to her. All she wanted was to finish high school with no drama and as a, what does Brooke call it, a wallflower. Why is that too much to ask? From the way things are going now, with cocky Christopher practically chasing her, she doubts that. She turns into an almost empty hallway that has Brooke's locker and sights her there. Chris begins to get angry and pulls her by her wrist to stop her. He knows if she meets up with Brooke, it's pointless. What the fuck is wrong with you? Can't you hear me calling you? He bellows as she turns to face him. Gosh. She's annoying. I've told you not to call me that, she hisses and yanks her hand from his grip. Isn't it obvious that she doesn't want to talk to him? Brooke has already noticed them, so she shuts her locker and moves closer to them. The scene doesn't exactly look good as it seems Chris is livid. And it's attracting the few people around. Chris stares at her and she stares right back. It's as if they're having a staring competition. He's trying to keep his anger at bay. What exactly is he angry about? That she isn't answering him? She did bluntly tell him not to call her that, but he still did. He sighs and runs a hand through his hair. I'm sorry, he apologizes. He barely says sorry to anybody that isn't family, but he has said it to her more than once. Steph sighs. A question? He nods. I need you to be honest with me. She pauses. What do you want from me? She asks the question that has been on her mind since he started trying to talk to her. Chris begins to ponder her question. What exactly does he want from her? He has never really thought about that, but he remembers that he wanted to hook up with her. Since he started talking, or at least, trying to talk to her, he hasn't thought about that at all. She looks at him eagerly, waiting for his answer. Chris can't find an answer to her question. To be your friend? He answers, scratching the back of his neck. Really? She gives him an I don't believe you look. Brooke, who has been standing behind Steph, decides to speak. Is everything okay? She has been hearing their conversation and they both didn't notice her. She thinks Steph is being difficult. A lot of girls would kill to be in her position right now, but that's the thing, Steph isn't like those girls. Let's get to Class B, Steph sighs, ignoring her question. She doesn't wait for Chris or Brooke to say anything. She holds Brooke by the wrist and pulls her along. Imagine Chris telling her that he just wants to be friends. What does he take her for? A fool? They'd been in the same school and grade for 3 years and he didn't notice her. Suddenly, it's senior year and he wants to be her friend. Can a player like him even be just friends with a girl? Who does he think he's bullshitting? What was that about? Brooke asks in a curious tone. What did it look like? I don't know, Brooke shrugs. An argument? Maybe that's what it was, Steph replies, not in the mood to talk right now, and Brooke gets the hint as they enter their next class. Chris watches them walk away until they're out of sight. Then he notices the few people staring at him. What are you staring at? He growls at them and walks off without waiting for a reaction. You know you don't have to babysit, right? Stephanie's dad asks as he drives her. She sighs. I know, Dad. Then why do you do it? Her dad inquires, giving a quick glance. Her mom has never asked her that, but she's glad her dad is asking. It shows that he cares. You know, I started babysitting after Brody left for college? Her dad nods. Well, I got tired of staying home all alone till you guys would get back, so I decided to babysit, Steph explains. I'm so sorry, sweetie. We got so busy with. He starts apologetically, but she cuts him off. I get it. She really doesn't want to have this conversation with her dad. Her dad sighs, but do you enjoy babysitting? She smiles. Yeah, I love kids. A few minutes later, her dad drops her off at the house she's to babysit. Bye, Dad. Okay, kiddo. Do you want me to come get you later? He asks. No, I'll take a cab, she declines his offer. And this is why you should get me a car, she adds, before shutting the door. He rolls his eyes and drives off. Steph notices the car on the driveway before walking up to the porch. She takes a deep breath and then rings the doorbell. A few seconds later, the door opens to reveal a woman with blonde hair. She's all dressed up and she is beautiful. The woman smiles at the sight of Steph. Hey, you must be Stephanie. Yeah, I am. Steph returns her smile. Come on in, she ushers her in. Steph walks into the house and is amazed at how beautiful it looks. I'm Kate. Nice to meet you, she introduces herself as she shuts the door. The design of the living room is stunning. Wow! Steph voices out. You have a beautiful home. Kate smiles at her compliment and the look of awe on her face. Why, thank you. I did all the design work myself. I'm an interior designer. Wow. Kate chuckles. Have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. Let me get my daughter from her room. She walks up the stairs and Steph continues to take in the beauty of the room. After a while, Steph hears a little girl's voice. But I don't want another babysitter, Mom. Can't you or Chris stay with me? It sounded from the top of the stairs, which is invisible from where Steph is seated. I've got things to do, Em, and Chris has basketball practice today. So be nice to her, will you? Kate scolds. Emily pouts before following her mom down the stairs. Steph didn't pick up Chris' name when it was mentioned. There are a lot of people named Chris, and she is only interested in the little girl she is to babysit. She hears them descend the stairs, and she stands to meet the little girl. Emily, who has been hiding behind her mom, finally shows herself. Steph's smile drops when she sees her. Wait, why does she look familiar? Steph asks herself. Kate watches them, waiting. Emily recognizes her too, and begins to wonder where she has seen her as she walks closer to Steph. I've seen you before, Emily says with a thoughtful look on her face. Then a virtual bulb lights above her head. You're the girl with the cute dog at the park on Saturday, Emily exclaims. That answers Steph's question as she replays that day in her head. From what she remembers, Emily was with Christopher that day and he called his sister. Does that mean, yikes? She's babysitting Christopher's sister. Yeah, she affirms after the conversation in her head. You're Emily, right? Emily nods with a smile. So you guys have met before, no need for introductions then, Kate beams. Emily, be nice to Stephanie and show her where to get anything she needs, okay? Okay, Mom, Emily answers. Kate picks up her handbag from a couch and addresses Steph. I have to go now. Her brother has basketball practice, but will be back before me. You can go home then. Okay, Steph nods. Bye, Em, Kate says, kisses her forehead, and heads out, shutting the door behind her. So you're Stephanie, Emily says as she sits. Yeah. And you're Emily, Steph says in a duh tone. She sits beside her on the couch. How's your dog, It's Daisy, Steph interrupts. And she's not my dog. Do you know Chris, my big brother? Emily questions. Steph lets out a breath. Unfortunately, yes. We go to the same school. Are you one of those girls? Emily asks, looking at Steph intently. Which girls? Steph asks, confusion evident on her face. Do you like my brother? What? Hell no! I do not like him, Steph exclaims at Emily's absurdity. She doesn't see herself liking someone like Chris in the next 10 years, to be honest. Emily smiles. Thank God. I like you already. Steph smiles too. So what do you want to do? Let's watch a movie, Emily suggests with a grin. Okay, sure. What movie do you want to watch? Frozen. Emily answers giddily and Steph chuckles. Well, Frozen it is. A minute later, they're seated beside each other on the couch watching Frozen. Chapter 21, I Like Her. An hour later, Chris is done with basketball practice. He heads home and arrives some minutes later. Oh yeah, the new babysitter. The first thing he notices is that she doesn't have a car, or didn't come with one. He begins to hope she isn't yet another psycho. He prays she's different, if not, he'd make her quit one way or the other. He steps into the house and shuts the door. Immediately he steps into the house, he hears the sound of the TV. Frozen. She's watching Frozen with the babysitter. At least that's a good sign. He turns around. The first thing he notices is a mop of jet black hair on the couch that has its back to the door. Why does that look so familiar? He asks himself. Emily, he calls, walking further into the living room. Emily turns around on the couch on hearing her name and jolts out of the couch. Chris. She hugs him. He hugs her back, smiling. He looks up at the new babysitter who has also turned around on the couch and he is shocked. Hazel? He says in disbelief. She rolls her eyes and answers with a glare. It's Stephanie. How many times do I have to tell you that? She's still seated as she remembers the conversation they had in the morning. He just wants to be her friend? Police. Chris ignores her statement and moves closer. What are you doing here? What does it look like? She retorts. Chris was expecting to see the new babysitter, but instead, he sees Hazel. The only reasonable explanation for her being here is, "You babysitting Emily," he points out. Way to go, Captain Obvious. Steph snorts. If Emily didn't believe Steph when she said she doesn't like her brother, she sure does now because it's obvious. It looks like she feels the exact opposite about him. Why? Chris voices out. None of your business. She snaps. Who does he think he is? It's none of his business, just as she has said. Emily, who has been watching their interaction, finally speaks up. Chris, be nice to Stephanie. You're upsetting her, she says. Chris sighs. I'll be up in my room. Then he walks up the stairs to his room. She's clearly still upset about the conversation they had in the morning. Can you even call that a conversation? He enters his room and sits on his bed after dropping his backpack on the floor. Hazel is babysitting Emily. At first, he didn't know she existed, and then they kissed during a game. Now she seems to be everywhere. Even in his house. Emphasis on his. He stays in his room for a while, thinking before he decides to have something to eat. He heads down and finds Stephanie reading Emily a book. He walks to the kitchen and decides to make himself a sandwich. Em? He calls. Yeah, she answers and Steph pauses her reading out loud. Do you want a sandwich? He yells from the kitchen. No, thanks. What about you, Hazel? He asks. She rolls her eyes and doesn't answer him. How many times will she have to tell him not to call her that? Just a simple instruction. Emily stares at her. When she hasn't answered after some seconds, Chris sighs, realizing why she didn't answer. Do you want a sandwich, Stephanie? He asks this time, though he prefers to call her Hazel. Nope. She replies. He smiles. She sure is something. It's just him then. He makes himself a turkey sandwich and sits on a stool. He eats his sandwich slowly with the thoughts of Hazel being in his house. It feels like it isn't real. He drinks a glass of orange juice after. When he's done in the kitchen, he goes back to the living room. He watches Hazel read for some seconds before making his presence known. You can go home now. I'll take it from here, he says, sliding his hands into the pockets of his jeans. Steph looks at him. Oh, okay. She closes the book and gives it to Emily. See you tomorrow, Emily. She smiles. Emily smiles at her. Can't wait. Steph stands and walks towards the exit. Bye. She waves to Emily with a smile as she turns the doorknob. She opens the door and walks out with Chris and Emily watching her. Chris realizes that she doesn't have a ride. He walks out of the house and finds her on their driveway, beside his car. Hey, he says to get her attention. She turns to look at him with her phone in hand. Did I forget something? She asks. Do you need a ride? I'll hail a cab. She answers. Let me give you a ride, he offers, hoping she'll agree without putting up a fight. Nope, she emphasizes the P. I'm good. Seriously? He sighs. I know you hate me, but please let me give you a ride home. I don't hate you, Steph retorts. Chris snorts. Sure, and I'm Chris Hemsworth. She exhales, contemplating his offer. What about Emily? Would you leave her here? All alone? She'll come with us, Chris decides. Steph sighs, defeated. What excuse would she give now? Fine. She gives in. Chris smiles. Great. Let me get him. He goes back into the house, looking a little too happy that he's driving her home. Hey Em, come with me, he tells her in the living room. Where are we going? Emily asks as she follows him. We're taking Hazel home, he replies as he locks the front door. Emily doesn't understand why he calls her that. Her name's Stephanie. Chris walks to his car on the driveway. Hazel, you can ride shotgun. She chooses to ignore the name this time since he's doing her a favor. No thanks. I'll take the back seat. Emily should ride shotgun. Chris gets in the driver's seat after helping Emily into the passenger seat. Steph gets into the back seat and Chris starts the engine. He backs out of the driveway and heads towards Steph's house with her directions. A few minutes later, he parks in front of Hazel's house. Her house is bigger than his, and he begins to wonder yet again why she's babysitting. It seems like her parents are loaded or at least comfortably rich if their house is anything to go by. This is me, Steph announces as she's about to step out of the car, but Chris' voice stops her. Wait. A question? She nods. Why do you babysit? She rolls her eyes. That's something she has been doing a lot around Christopher. Though like I said earlier, it's none of your business, I do it because I want to, she says and exits the car, slamming the door. She begins to walk up to her porch with Chris and Emily watching her. Steph turns around and smiles, remembering Emily. Bye, Emily. She waves. Bye, Emily says, smiling. Chris chuckles as he watches her enter the house. I like her, Emily tells him as he starts the car. I'm sure you do, Em. I'm sure you do, he says. When is she coming over again? Emily asks. Tomorrow, Chris answers with a nod. Yay, Emily giggles. So Emily, do you like your new babysitter? Kate asks as they eat dinner later in the evening. Emily smiles. Yeah, I do. She's nice and kinda funny. Chris smiles, happy that Emily likes Hazel. She's the first babysitter she likes. Even though he isn't exactly happy that she's babysitting, at least he'd see her more often and maybe they'll become friends. His mom smiles too. I'm glad you do. Imagine how surprised I was to come home and find Hazel as Em's new babysitter. Chris mutters. Ha! Kate remembers Hazel as the first girl he has mentioned to her since Ivy. The girl he had detention with. She doesn't think she can forget that, but why did he just say Hazel instead of Stephanie? Chris? She stares at him. Yeah? Stephanie is the name of the new babysitter, she points out, slightly confused and yet still amused. He calls her Hazel. Mom, Emily comments. And she keeps telling him not to. Really? She asks with a curious tone. Chris shrugs. Is she the same Hazel you got detention with yesterday? He doesn't give her an answer for a few seconds. He notices his mom's eyes glinting because apparently this is interesting news to her. Yeah, she is. Kate stares at him in astonishment. Oh my gosh! She exclaims. And now she's babysitting Emily. This is great. To Kate, this is great news. Chris gives his mom a blank stare. Seriously, Mom? What's so exciting? And we aren't friends or anything close to that, he mutters in monotone. Doesn't matter. It's just a matter of time. You two would become friends and maybe even something more. His mom beams. She seems like a good girl. She adds. Mom, Chris groans in frustration. His mom chuckles and Emily joins. Minutes later, Chris is in the room when he receives a text. He enters his passcode for his phone and checks his text. It's from Piper. Hey. He groans. Instead of replying to her, he goes to his contact list and dials Jason. Jason answers on the second ring. Hey, Chris. What's up? I forgot to ask you, Chris starts gently. Why the fuck you gave Piper my number? He yells into the phone. I'm sorry, dude. I thought you'll be okay with it. He apologizes. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but if she starts pestering me and blowing up my phone with calls and messages, I'll kill you, Chris says menacingly. Jason chuckles. You can't do that. You love me. Chris hangs up on him.